Chapter 317. Changing attitude. Even if he was his son, he could not turn a blind eye to it. The following day, during the court session, he announced that Chu Jinling would be exiled to guard the imperial mausoleum for 5 years, with no return to Jiangdu City unless summoned. Chu Jinling, originally the legitimate son of the Empress, was now demoted, causing an uproar in the court. The Empress in the Fengzhou Palace, upon learning the entire sequence of events from Chu Jinling, had bloodshot eyes. Her long nails dug into her hands as she cried out in hatred, "Su Yingxue, you've harmed my son again. I won't let you off. Want you dead." Su Yingxue. Outside the imperial prison, Su Hao and Wu Jinyan came together to pick up Su Yingxue after her release. Although she had spent a few days in prison and hadn't suffered much, Su Hao's face was creased with concern. "Sister. Fortunately you came out unharmed. Otherwise, one would never let the third prince off. The third prince should be on the way to his exile by now. It's too late for me to show mercy." Su Yingxue smiled and linked her arm with Su Hao. The 3 siblings chatted and laughed as they headed back to the Marquis Manor. Su Yingxue had just been released from prison. Seeing Su Hao and Wu Jinyan together more and more compatible when they were together, she smiled and teased, "Jinyan, now that you have returned to the Marquis Manor with us, you're officially a member of the Su family. You won't be able to escape us in the future." "I'm a member of the Su family now, but in the future, I don't know which family you'll marry into. If you marry into the royal family..." "Jinyan, your mouth is quite fierce now." Su Yingxue cast a playful glance at Wu Jinyan. Wu Jinyan, wearing an Accompany dress, appeared dignified and elegant. She covered her mouth and chuckled. "I'm quite wealthy now, so one naturally need to be fierce. Then when you marry into the Marquis Manor in the future, don't make things difficult for me. Your little sister-in-law, okay?" Su Yingxue chuckled and snorted twice. "I won't make things difficult for you. But you do have some good herbs that can be turned into spices in your possession. I'd like to have some." Wu Jinyan openly said. "Look, she's indeed become bossy now. Her attitude has changed." In Su Hao's presence, Wu Jinyan was laughing, and Su Yingxue was teasing. The days were as beautiful as the stories in books. However, when he recalled the letter he received the day before, he couldn't manage to raise the corners of his mouth. Su Jinling had known for a while that Su Yingxue had been released from prison, so he had organized a banquet to celebrate, and had even waited specifically for her return. Su Yingxue was slightly surprised, but during the banquet, Su Jingling's words made her smirk. "Yingxue, your clinic has reopened, and you still have many shops and fields under your control. One imagine you must be quite busy. It might be better to have someone else manage the affairs of this household," Su Jinling said solemnly. He was dissatisfied with Su Yingxue. Even though she had managed the household meticulously and hadn't made any mistakes, she had always been at the center of controversy. This time, she was imprisoned after the death of Princess Sheng. What if another prince died next time? If the Marquis Manor remained under her control, he would be inevitably implicated, hanging by a thread, with the potential of falling to his death at any moment. Su Jinling, who was cautious, couldn't accept this. "Father, when sister was in trouble, you didn't intercede for her. Now that she's just returned home, you're eager to have her hand over the power of the family. Isn't that too much?" Su Hao questioned with a deep voice. His demeanor carried the unique authority of a military man. Su Jinling, a scholar, couldn't compete with him. However, Su Jingling's expression showed disdain. If she hadn't caused trouble herself, would the prince's death be related to her? Chapter 318. Su Hao will guard the border. "Father, you're unfairly blaming me. Whenever something happened to my sister, you never came to her rescue, yet you always placed the blame on her first. Can you name any other father in the world like you?" Su Hao couldn't contain his anger and shouted sternly. He had been raised by his grandfather from a young age, and he had long forgotten any affection he had for Su Jinling. However, he couldn't tolerate Su Jinling treating Su Yingxue this way. "Both of us are Su family children, but you've lavished gifts on Su Yuro and now you can't even spare a word of concern for my sister?" He pressed on insistently. Su Jingling's face was practically half-shaven by his words. He became infuriated. She's also my daughter, can Ruer create trouble like her? Su Yuro had caused trouble, and it was up to him to resolve it. Su Yingxue had stirred up trouble, yet he in his position hadn't even uttered a complete sentence before the matter was resolved. This feeling of defeat was reminiscent of when he married Long Shuli and faced her. She was so strong and fearless, even while carrying a child. She could still engage in intellectual battles with others. If she hadn't disappeared unexpectedly once, she wouldn't have died from complications during childbirth. Su Yingxue was no different. She possessed the ability. It would be impossible for anyone to approach and control her. Father regaining the authority of the household steward isn't impossible. Su Hao and Su Dingheng argued for a while. Su Yingxue had already had 2 bowls of soup and finished her rice. She sat at the table calmly. Su Dingheng furrowed his brow. What would it take for you to hand over the family authority? Father, let my brother marry a wife and let my future sister-in-law join the family. The authority in my hands should naturally be passed on to her. Su Yingxue smiled mischievously, and then glanced at Wu Jinyan. Wu Jinyan had been sitting next to her the entire time, not uttering a word, yet she couldn't be overlooked. Su Dingheng appreciated her dignified demeanor and presence. But thinking of her background, he was filled with disgust. Entering the Marquis of Marshall South's manor isn't so easy. Yes, Marquis. Wu Jinyan slightly stood up and paid her respects to him. Su Dingheng wasn't treating her well, yet she remained composed. Even if Su Dingheng was angry, he couldn't take it out on her. He could only return to his courtyard with frustration to vent his anger. In Lingxiao Garden, Su Yingxue sent Wu Jinyan off and followed Su Hao back. Su Hao noticed that she was lingering and sighed. Have you figured it out again? Su Yingxue sat on the stone table in his courtyard and playfully blinked her eyes. Brother, you've written your troubles all over your face. It's hard for me not to know. Su Hao smiled wryly and said, I initially wanted to give Yenner a home and make her my rightful wife. But now, due to the imperial decree, am ordered to guard Bamboo Leaf Pass for 3 years. During these 3 years, what should Yenner do? Su Yingxue's brow twitched. In her previous life, Su Hao had never been ordered to guard Bamboo Leaf Pass. Why was he suddenly? Bamboo Leaf Pass is a crucial barrier between the Yu Kingdom and the Great Wei Dynasty. Following the Yu Kingdom's downfall, all the cities came under our empire's control. Bamboo Leaf Pass became our border with the Great Wei Dynasty. However, the Great Wei Dynasty's royal family hails from beyond the Great Wall, and their bloodline is different from common people. They're fierce and adept at warfare. After seizing the previous dynasty, they established themselves as the Wei Dynasty. Lately, Bamboo Leaf Pass has been subject to frequent disturbances. The Emperor has commanded me to go to Bamboo Leaf Pass to ensure border security. In plain terms, guarding the border was the most effective way to get rid of high-ranking officials. Yet Su Hao's situation was different. Among the young generals, he was the most exceptional and possessed strong leadership qualities. With Bamboo Leaf Pass on the brink of war with the Great Wei Dynasty, only Su Hao could make Great Wei Dynasty wary. Chapter 319. Su Hao engaged. However, this meant that Su Hao had to go to Bamboo Leaf Pass, which was thousands of miles away, and separate from Wu Jinyan. Brother, Grandpa is still guarding the Northern Territory. If you don't want to go to Bamboo Leaf Pass, there's a way. Su Yingxue also felt a faint reluctance in her heart. Su Hao shook his head, his gaze firm. As a general, it was his duty to guard the border. If he could guard Bamboo Leaf Pass for the Great Qing Dynasty in exchange for peace at the border, it wouldn't matter even if he didn't return to the court for the rest of his life. But Yenner, Su Hao's eyes showed a touch of heartache. The only thing that worried him was Wu Jinyan. He served his country, which was perfectly justifiable. But if he left, what would happen to Wu Jinyan? Was he going to let her wait for him? If brother is afraid of letting sister Jinyan down, then you can marry her now and let her become the young madam of the Marquis Manor. How about that? Su Yingxue winked playfully. This is too hasty. Although Su Hao said so, his heart was already surging. It wasn't that he hadn't thought about marrying Wu Jinyan immediately. However, he didn't have much time left and couldn't prepare a grand wedding for her. He was afraid of neglecting her. Marriage is a little hasty, but engagement is simple. Let the world know that Sister Jinyan is brother's fiancée. This way, it won't be considered letting Sister Jinyan down, but it will also give her a foothold in Jiangdu City. Su Yingxue said frankly. Wu Jinyan did not have a noble background. The minister's estate had fallen, and her family was gone. Although she was now the owner of the Thousand Jiao Pavilion, it was inevitable that people would criticize her. If she had the title of Su Hao's fiancée, the future young madam of the Marquis Manor, her status in Jiangdu City would increase. It was beneficial to her. Even if Su Hao guarded the border, with this identity, no one would dare to offend her. Su Hao smiled in relief. That's a good idea. I'll immediately send someone to report this matter to grandfather. When grandfather agrees, 111 propose to Yenner and get engaged to her first. Brother, aren't you going to tell father? Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows and reminded him. Su Hao's eyes instantly turned cold. The emperor has already agreed that my marriage doesn't have to be ordered by my parents. I told grandfather because grandfather raised me single-handedly. As for father, if it wasn't for blood relations, Su Hao didn't want to admit that he had such a father. Brother, is it because of mother that you are so cold to father? Can you tell me what mother looked like? Su Yingxue's eyes were filled with desire. She wanted to know everything about her mother, the mother she had never seen before. The more she flipped through the notes and medical books she left behind, the more she felt that her mother was a great person. Unfortunately, when she was born, her mother was already dead. Su Hao pursed his lips tightly. In the past, Su Yingxue had never asked him about their mother. He was also afraid that telling her would hurt her. After all, his mother died on the day of difficult labor. With Su Yingxue, one lived and the other died. But looking at Su Yingxue's longing eyes, Su Hao slowly said, Mother was a great woman, and she was also very humorous. When I was young, I fell into the lake out of playfulness, and mother watched from the side. She only saved me after one choked on the water. One asked her why, and she said that one hadn't drowned yet, so she wasn't in a hurry. Su Hao didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he talked about this memory, but in his impression, his mother was the best. He talked to Su Yingxue for the entire afternoon. After Su Yingxue heard it, she was filled with emotion. It turned out that the mother she had seen in the medical books was only a part of it. Her mother was truly a shocking person. Chapter 320. Lian Assassination. All her actions proved this point. Brother, I always felt that our mother came from another world and was very different from us, Su Yingxue said, gazing at the moonlight in the sky. Another world? Although I don't dare to agree, a woman like our mother is rare in this world. In all my years of experience, she was one of a kind, Su Hao said with a smile. 3 days later, old General Su's reply arrived at the Marquis Manor. He agreed to Su Hao's proposal to Wu Jinyan, and even gave a golden saber that had been passed down in the Su family as a betrothal gift, asking Su Hao to present it to Wu Jinyan. Su Hao took the golden saber and the letter to inform Su Dingheng, then asked Su Yingxue to prepare the betrothal gifts for him. They had decided to go to the Thousand Jiao Pavilion the next day to propose marriage. Su Dingheng saw that Su Hao had only come to inform him, and hadn't even asked if he agreed or not. He even used the old master's golden saber to stop him. He snorted and left with a flick of his sleeves. Su Hao didn't have any feelings for him, but he looked worriedly at Su Yingxue beside him. After I go to Bamboo Leaf Pass, you'll still be in charge of the family affairs. Lu Shuyan and her child, I'm worried. Lu Shuyan and her daughter can't harm me. Brother, are you worried that Su Jinxian can do anything to me? Su Yingxue smiled in a relaxed manner. Su Hao smiled, realizing that he was worrying too much. The next morning, Su Yingxue and Su Hao led a formidable procession to the Thousand Jiao Pavilion. Su Hao changed into a bright red wedding outfit, and his handsome face looked even more striking. When he smiled, it made many girls on the street blush. Look, that's young General Su. He became famous at a young age, and is now going to propose marriage. Young General is so handsome. One wonder which lucky girl will be able to marry him. If one could marry young General, I'd be willing to live 10 years less. If I could marry young general, I'd be willing to live 20 years less. Huh. When Su Yingxue heard the comments from the women on the street, she turned around and playfully teased Su Hao. Brother, did you hear that? To marry you, they are willing to live 20 years less. Don't joke around. Su Hao was nervous. His hand holding the reins even trembled. Today he had come to propose marriage, and he didn't know how Yihan would react. As the procession moved slowly, a figure dashed out from the crowd and aimed a sharp dagger at Su Yingxue. Sister, be careful. Su Hao's quick reflexes allowed him to leap off his horse, swiftly twist Lian's wrist, knock the dagger from her hand, and kick it aside. The Marquis Manor guards immediately closed in around Lian. Su Hao helped Su Yingxue dismount and asked her carefully, Sister, are you okay? Su Yingxue shook her head. Brother didn't even let her touch me. What could happen to me? Su Yingxue, you're responsible for the prince's death. Why are you so lucky? You should apologize to the princess. Go to hell. Lian's eyes were bloodshot, and she was determined to die along with Su Yingxue. However, Su Yingxue looked at her coldly. If your princess knew that you were courting death like this, I'm afraid she wouldn't be able to rest in peace. The one who tormented the princess is you. She begged so humbly, and you didn't even help her fulfill a small wish. Why do you people from the great Qing dynasty have to humiliate the princess like this? She was such a kind person. Lian broke down in tears. She had lived this long only to avenge the princess. Chapter 321. Women can also rely on their own abilities. She hated her. She was unwilling. She would never forget the deep regret in Sheng Ping's eyes. At the mention of Sheng Ping, Su Yingxue also felt a little uncomfortable, but it was not because she hadn't agreed to Sheng Ping's request. I didn't know Sheng Ping anything, and one didn't have to do what she asked. So there's no need for you to act like this in front of me. Su Yingxue said sympathetically. She turned to Su Hao and said, Brother, let her go. She wanted to kill you. Su Hao's handsome brows furrowed with a cold determination. Attempting to assassinate Su Yingxue in public was a grave offense. Su Yingxue, you don't have to pretend. You only know how to deceive the princess and mistreat her. Lian was full of resentment. Sheng Ping had only been able to plead with Su Yingxue. She had begged Su Yingxue so earnestly, yet Su Yingxue had not allowed her to see Chu Yihan before her death. Su Yingxue was too selfish. Damn it. First, one don't need to pretend, and second, I didn't know your princess anything. Su Yingxue forcefully pinched Lian's chin, displaying a fierce and domineering aura as she looked down at her. In this world, it's not about who's pitiful or right. It's not about who's pitted, but rather, what you can achieve through your efforts. Sheng Ping didn't understand this when she was alive, and now, you're the same. Instead of trying to assassinate me, you'd be better off helping Sheng Ping to console the old folks of Yu Kingdom. This way, they won't be manipulated by others. This is what Sheng Ping as a princess should do. Su Yingxue released her grip, and instructed someone to remove Lian from the group, and take her to a safe place. Lian was in a daze as if she was lost in Su Yingxue's words and couldn't snap out of it for a long time. Whether she could find happiness was not within Su Yingxue's concern. However, her words had left many women present astonished. Do women also need to rely on themselves? At home, they rely on their fathers. After marriage, they rely on their husbands. If their husbands die, they rely on their sons. Can women achieve what they want through their efforts? Many women on the street were puzzled, and their eyes reflected their confusion. The men standing by their side sternly scolded. Nonsense. Women should be responsible for their husbands and children. This is against tradition. That's right. What can women accomplish? Women who put themselves out in public have no shame. Shut up. Su Hao shouted angrily, and those men who had belittled women quickly scattered like frightened mice. Su Hao looked at Su Yingxue. He had expected her to be affected, but her eyes betrayed a sense of joy. Sister. Su Hao called out to her. Su Yingxue looked up and smiled. Brother, I'm fine. I won't take those words to heart. Mother once wrote a sentence in her letter, men and women are equal. She believed that regardless of gender, anyone could achieve what they wanted through their efforts. Success or failure depends on one's effort, not gender. Now, she had shown her face in public, and she was doing what she wanted. Even though the insults from earlier were still fresh in her memory. But so what? These people couldn't hinder her. She would only become stronger and more determined. Young General Su is here. In front of the Thousand Jiao Pavilion, the matchmaker shouted with excitement. Thousand Jiao Pavilion was decorated with a festive atmosphere. Wu Jinyan stood at the door in a long red dress. 2 red clouds graced her delicate cheeks, and she looked dignified and elegant. Su Hao dismounted from his horse and approached her. He presented the golden saber with sincerity in his eyes and a resolute tone. Su Hao of the Marquis of Marshall South's Manor is willing to marry you. I wonder. Are you willing? Chapter 322. Purple Tail. You're already in your 20s. The young general, who had swept across the battlefield with thousands of cavalry and had never blushed, stood in front of Wu Jinyan with a sincere face. His face was red, and many women were jealous of Wu Jinyan. Wu Jinyan pursed her lips tightly, but her heart was already so excited that it was about to burst out of her chest. She slowly curled her lips, and her voice trembled slightly. I am willing. The matchmaker smiled and distributed red packets to everyone present. Countless congratulatory voices rang out in the hall. Su Hao held the golden saber in front of Wu Jinyan. This is an item passed down from the Su family to the future generations. Grandpa ordered me to give it to you. Wu Jinyan received it solemnly and held it carefully in her hand. Old General was kind, and I would treasure it. Sister-in-law wants to treasure my brother. Now, you are the rightful future young madam of the Marquis Manor. Su Yingxue said excitedly. Yes. Getting engaged to the young general was the dream of many girls in Jiangdu City. Miss Wu, why didn't you kiss the young general? Chu Jinling came out like a groundhog to jeer. He held Lin Sisi's hand. Lin Sisi was also a lively person. She shouted, Young general, hurry up and kiss your fiancé. Let everyone see how good your relationship is. Wu Jinyan blushed. Miss Lin, I've given you so many clothes and accessories for nothing. It's fine I am wealthy, so you don't need to send her anymore. Kiss young general. Chu Jinling hugged Lin Sisi and teased Wu Jinyan. Lin Sisi leaned against him generously. Wu Jinyan shyly hid in Su Hao's arms. Su Hao got engaged and held a banquet. Su Yingxue organized it. Su Dingheng showed up, but he returned to Yaoguang Garden in a huff after drinking 2 glasses of wine. This was originally a joyous occasion for the Marquis Manor. As his father, he should have felt happy, because Su Hao was the son who gave him the most face. He left in a huff. It wasn't because he was praised less, but because he felt that this happy occasion had nothing to do with him. Su Hao's excellence had nothing to do with him. Only when he returned to Yaoguang Garden and saw Lu Shulan and her daughter snuggling up to him did he feel at home. After the banquet, Su Yingxue was busy until late at night before she had time to rest. When she was so tired that she felt a little light as she walked, Ziwei descended from the sky and helped her back to the courtyard. Su Yingxue drank some wine and sat down on the steps at the door. She tugged at Ziwei. Come sit. Ziwei sat next to her like an emotionless statue. Su Yingxue looked at his face thoughtfully. She asked him, Ziwei, how old are you this year? I don't know. How can you not know your age? Don't you know which year you were born? I don't know. Then how many years have you lived since you have memories? Ziwei thought about it seriously. 19. Su Yingxue tilted her head. Then you should be in your 20s. Ziwei nodded. Yes. For someone like him who didn't even know who his biological parents were, there was no point in remembering his age. However, if Su Yingxue said that he was in his 20s, then he was in his 20s. You probably don't remember your birthday. Let's start from the day one brought you out of the Silver Moon Pavilion. Let's say you were 22 years old this year, and your birthday was on the 10th of March. How about that? Su Yingxue patted his shoulder, her fox-like eyes glinting. Ziwei nodded without a care. All right. Hey Ziwei, you are already this old, only 1 year younger than my brother. It was time for you to get married and start a family. Chapter 323. Wu Jinyan poisoned. Hey Ziwei, you were already this old, only 1 year younger than my brother. It was time for you to get married and start a family. Su Yingxue laughed out loud. She had made such a long preparation in the beginning, and she had finally said this sentence. Ziwei was speechless. He hugged his knife and jumped up the beam, disappearing into the night sky. Su Yingxue did not forget to chase after him and shout, Ziwei, I'll find a matchmaker to read your birth characters tomorrow. What kind of girl do you like? Tall or short, fat or thin? Ziwei sat on the beam and listened to Su Yingxue's happy laughter today. His mood changed. However, Su Yingxue wanted him to get married. He lowered his eyes, his long eyelashes casting 2 shadows under his eyes. He didn't want to marry. Su Yingxue was destined to have a sleepless night. Before she could sober up, Yihan rushed over to tell her, Miss, something bad has happened. Something happened to young madam. Su Yingxue used cold water to wake up, and hurriedly rushed to Thousandjiao Pavilion. In front of Wu Jinyan's room, Manager Qi had his hands behind his back and was pacing around the corridor anxiously. When he saw Su Yingxue, his eyes lit up as if he had seen his savior. Young Madam Xi. He hurriedly brought Su Yingxue in and then closed the door. On the bed, Wu Jinyan's face was yellow. The skin on his entire body was as yellow as his face. It was strangely yellow. She had already fallen into a semi-conscious state, but she kept muttering, I can't let Su Hao know, one can't let Su Hao know. Su Yingxue took Wu Jinyan's pulse and frowned. She's poisoned. What happened? She was asking Manager Qi and Yihan. Yihan anxiously twisted her fingers. Today was a joyous occasion. Young madam drank a few glasses of wine, and then became a little unconscious. I thought that young madam couldn't handle the alcohol, but after a while young madam's face changed. At first, it was still red, but now it has become. Before Yihan could finish, she screamed, Miss, look at young madam. Her expression changed again. Su Yingxue returned to Wu Jinyan's side, and realized that her face had turned from yellow to green. The color of her skin had also changed. She had already used silver needles to stabilize her heart, but the poison spread very quickly and spread throughout her body. Wu Jinyan regained consciousness slightly. She looked at Su Yingxue and said weakly, Yingxue, did I? Sister Jinyan, you've been poisoned. Su Yingxue did not hide it from her. Wu Jinyan's eyes flashed with a hint of sadness. He then grabbed her hand worriedly. Yingxue, hide it from your brother. One don't want him to worry. He's about to leave for Bamboo Leaf Pass. One can't affect him. Su Yingxue's heart trembled slightly, and her tone was a little bitter. Sister, don't worry. You'll be fine. She had Yihan and Manager Qi go out to make arrangements. Wu Jinyan was very meticulous. When she realized that something was wrong with her, she used the excuse of being drunk to return to the Thousandjiao Pavilion without Su Hao's knowledge. She also quickly invited Manager Qi over. However, Manager Qi had never seen her poison before. If Wu Jinyan hadn't quickly invited Manager Qi over, Wu Jinyan would have died in 2 hours. Su Yingxue saw that the green color on her face was gradually turning green, and guessed that she had been poisoned by the Rainbow 7 color barrier. A poison developed by the poison doctor, Saint Ruan. The poisoned person's skin color would become like a rainbow, constantly changing. When it turned purple, they would die. The timing of this change depended on the dosage of the poison. Chapter 324. The poison was detoxified so quickly? In less than 4 hours, Wu Jinyan's body had turned green. It was evident that the person who poisoned her had used a significant amount of poison. He was after Wu Jinyan's life. Su Yingxue didn't have time to investigate how Wu Jinyan was poisoned. The current plan was to first suppress the poison's effects and then detoxify her. She entered Medicine King Valley and fetched a jar of spiritual spring water. This water was rich in medicinal qi and had the effects of relaxing muscles, strengthening bones, replenishing qi, and nourishing blood. She gave Wu Jinyan a generous amount of it, and then pricked her finger to draw a significant amount of blood. The colorful blood flowed out, and Wu Jinyan's skin color began to lighten. but she grew progressively weaker. The poison was seeping into her bloodstream, and by releasing a substantial amount of poison blood, Yingxue essentially halted the poison's circulation. Once Wu Jinyan had fallen asleep, Yingxue headed to Medicine King Valley to prepare an antidote. She was in the Medicine King Valley, and someone had been watching her from outside the window. The man's tone was lightly tinged with doubt. "Are you daydreaming while detoxifying?" He had traveled the world for many years and considered himself someone who had never encountered anyone more peculiar. Yingxue's detoxification method was on par with his own. He waited outside the window until dawn when he finally saw Yingxue shift. It seemed like she had been sitting for too long, and her body had become stiff. When she got up, she stumbled and staggered. Then, Yingxue administered medicine to the woman on the bed. Saint Ruan peered out of the window and observed the woman whose skin had turned purple slowly regaining her normal expression. She opened her eyes, and her skin color returned to its usual state. Saint Ruan licked his lips. Not bad. There were only a few people in the world who could cure his Rainbow 7 color barrier, and even fewer who could do it within 2 hours. For now he had only seen Yingxue. Wearing a bright red robe, he flew across the sky, leaving behind a trail of flamboyance. Yingxue had been busy for half the night, and had finally cured Wu Jinyan's poisoning. Wu Jinyan's body was still a bit weak, but she had also regained consciousness. She helped Yingxue lie down beside her. "Yingxue, take a rest." Yingxue massaged her temples. These past 2 hours had truly exhausted her. Curing the Rainbow 7 color barrier was an extremely troublesome task, requiring more than 30 different ingredients for the antidote, and the use of the poison's toxins to counteract it. Fortunately, little Ginseng had nothing better to do in the Medicine King Valley, and had raised some cuties, allowing her to produce the antidote in such a short time. "Sister Jinyan, do you remember how you were poisoned last night?" Yingxue was somewhat suspicious. Wu Jinyan recalled carefully. "I drank a lot of toasts from various people last night. One don't remember whose wine might have been the issue, but I do remember a strange man who came to offer a toast yesterday." "A strange man? Was there something peculiar about him?" Doubt was evident in Yingxue's eyes. Wu Jinyan pursed her lips. "If we say peculiar, that man was entirely strange. He was dressed in red like a frivolous playboy, but he was very polite. He came to offer me a toast, only said congratulations, and left after drinking." "A man in a red robe? Do you know his name?" Yingxue's eyes turned cold. Wu Jinyan shook her head. "I don't know him. However, given the number of dignitaries that attended the court yesterday, I thought he might have been a guest from the Marquis Manor. One saw he kept a low profile, so I didn't inquire. It's just that his behavior was strange enough to leave an impression." Wu Jinyan's instincts were usually spot on. If she didn't recognize him, and Yingxue didn't either, then he wasn't just any guest. He was someone who had infiltrated the wedding banquet. Yingxue narrowed her eyes. That man in the red robe was probably the eccentric poison doctor, Saint Ruan. "Yenner, what happened to you? Open the door." "Yenner." Su Hao's anxious voice resounded from outside the door. Chapter 325. The terrifying Ruan Sheng. Wu Jinyan quickly got out of bed. She was still feeling a little dizzy after the poison had been cured. Yingxue supported her. "Jinyan, don't be anxious." Wu Jinyan shook her head and held Yingxue's hand. "You mustn't let your brother know that one was poisoned. He'll be leaving for Bamboo Leaf past the day after tomorrow. One don't want him to worry." Wu Jinyan's body was still frail, but all she could think about was Su Hao. Yingxue was touched and nodded in agreement. "Okay." She went to open the door, and Su Hao rushed in. When he saw Wu Jinyan sitting on the bed, he quickly squatted down in front of her and held her hand, his eyes full of concern. "Yenner, what's wrong?" Last night, he was so happy that he got drunk and took a break. When he heard that something had happened to Wu Jinyan this morning, he was extremely anxious. "I'm fine. I just drank too much last night." Wu Jinyan smiled understandingly. "You don't look well." Su Hao frowned. He glanced at Yingxue, who was standing on the side. Moreover, my sister is also here. What are you guys hiding from me? Su Yingxue's expression stiffened. Although Su Hao was a general and didn't speak much, he was not stupid. Wu Jinyan caressed his face and smiled. Although I'm your fiancé now, I'm not married yet. If one don't live with Yingxue, do I have to sleep with you? Su Hao's face suddenly turned red. Yenner, don't spout nonsense. He was not that kind of frivolous person. Although they were engaged, he would never do anything out of line with her as long as they had not officially married. The nuptial chamber naturally required him to perform 3 letters and 6 etiquettes, officially marry her, and carry her into the Marquis manor before they would sleep on the same bed. Brother, even if you don't trust sister-in-law, you have to trust me. With me around, what can happen to my sister-in-law? Su Yingxue looked at Su Hao teasingly. Su Hao stood up and gently tapped her forehead. Okay, I believe you. Seeing that the two of them were fine, Su Hao was relieved. He still had to prepare for his departure, so he went to the military camp. Su Yingxue reminded Wu Jinyan to rest well for the next few days, and not to overexert herself. Wu Jinyan nodded and held her hand. There was a hint of worry between her brows. Yingxue, the person who poisoned me could sneak into the Marquis manor. His methods must not be weak. You must be careful. She knew that she couldn't help Su Yingxue in this matter. She could only pray for her. Su Yingxue patted the back of her hand and gave her a reassuring look. I have Ziwei by my side. I won't let anyone harm me easily. She left the prescription behind and returned to the manor after giving it to Wu Jinyan. In her room, Ziwei quietly appeared. Su Yingxue frowned. You were always by my side. Last night, Saint Ruan. Ziwei's hoarse voice was filled with killing intent. It is him. Did you follow him last night to see who ordered him? Su Yingxue placed her hands behind her back. She thought about it carefully. She did not know Saint Ruan. Why would this famous poison doctor with a strange temper poison Wu Jinyan for no reason, and deliberately come to see her detoxify? Someone must have ordered it. No, Ziwei explained coldly. His entire body is filled with poison. The Silver Moon Pavilion forbids anyone from approaching him. Otherwise you will die. A hint of surprise flashed in Su Yingxue's eyes. You're the top assassin in the Silver Moon Pavilion. Even you can't get close to Saint Ruan easily. Ziwei nodded. The Silver Moon Pavilion once had a grudge with him and subdued him. Chapter 326. Chu Yihan's masochistic physique. The Silver Moon Pavilion is quite impressive. Su Yingxue sneered. To have someone like Saint Ruan subdued by the Silver Moon Pavilion, Hong Lian must have quite a few tricks up her sleeve. It's not Hong Lian, Ziwei said coldly. Not her? Then who is it? The true master of the Silver Moon Pavilion? Ziwei nodded. Yes. Su Yingxue was growing increasingly curious about this person. He had founded the Silver Moon Pavilion, mediated between multiple countries, and even managed to subdue someone as unique as Saint Ruan. It was no wonder that Chu Yihan didn't want her to be at odds with the Silver Moon Pavilion. However, if the Silver Moon Pavilion had ordered Saint Ruan to poison Wu Jinyan, she was determined to settle the score with them. In the blink of an eye, it was the day Su Hao would depart. No matter how reluctant he was, he had to leave Wu Jinyan. He wore heavy armor and pulled Wu Jinyan into his arms. His warm breath enveloped Wu Jinyan. Yenner, when I return, we'll be wed. All right, 111 be waiting for you. Wu Jinyan managed a smile, though tears welled up. Su Hao held her face and placed a kiss on her forehead before turning to leave. Wu Jinyan ran after his army for quite a distance. She stood on the city wall until he disappeared from her sight, then allowed herself to cry. She crouched in a corner, letting her tears flow silently. 3 years weren't that long, but without him by her side, every day was agonizing. After sending Su Hao off, Su Yingxue started working at the clinic. She had asked Chu Yihan how to find Saint Ruan. Chu Yihan toyed with her hand and casually said, If you want to meet him, I can mobilize the Black Cloud Cavalry to capture him. 2 black lines appeared on Su Yingxue's forehead. That would be giving him too much credit. For just one Saint Ruan, they were deploying the might of the great Qing dynasty. Su Yingxue was extremely displeased. He was just one Saint Ruan. She huffed. One must find him and make him pay. She wanted him to poison Wu Jinyan. If she didn't seek revenge for poisoning her sister-in-law, she wouldn't be true to her name. Chu Yihan couldn't resist pinching her cheeks when he saw her pouting. He's been using poison for many years. If it's a contest of poisons, I don't recommend you take him on. Your Highness, you're underestimating me. Su Yingxue was unhappy. Chu Yihan replied. It's not underestimating, it's just that you don't stand a chance against him when it comes to poison. Su Yingxue was left speechless. This wasn't merely underestimating, it was contempt. She was annoyed. Su Yingxue grabbed Chu Yihan's face and bit him. Then, Your Highness, watch how I outpoison this poisoned saint. She stormed off, and Chu Yihan touched the bite mark on his face. She had good teeth. Emochi stood guard outside the door. When he saw Su Yingxue picking a fight with his master again, he entered with a curious expression. Master, Miss Su is at it again. Before he could finish his sentence, his gaze landed on Chu Yihan's face, and he nearly bit his tongue. Master, your face. Oh my God. It seemed like Su Yingxue had a death wish. She had even dared to bite Chu Yihan's face. Chu Yihan's face, so handsome. So unbeatable. Some people might not ever have the chance to see it, but Su Yingxue had bitten it so rudely. And shed left a bite mark. If someone saw this, Emochi was flabbergasted. If she likes it, I don't mind if she bites a few more times, Chu Yihan said nonchalantly. Emochi turned and left. He was filled with jealousy. He felt that there was no hope for his master's masochistic tendencies in front of Su Yingxue. Chapter 327. Interesting doll. Su Yingxue couldn't find Saint Ruan, so she had no choice but to wait for him to come to her. After all, with Saint Ruan's peculiar personality, Su Yingxue believed that given his mean streak, he wouldn't just poison Wu Jinyan once and then disappear. As she expected, Saint Ruan didn't show up, but the people around her began to be poisoned one after another. Qin Ming, Dr. Qin, Manager Qi, and Jilan. Su Yingxue was busy detoxifying them every day, leaving her sweating profusely. After Xilan's poison had just been cured, she lay on the bed, tears streaming down her face. Miss, you're so tired. What if that poison doctor took advantage of the situation to poison you? He won't poison me. His sick pleasure comes from poisoning the people around me and watching me detoxify them. Su Yingxue's eyes carried a hint of anger. This despicable person. If he wanted to poison her, he would have done so already. However, instead of targeting her, he was poisoning everyone close to her. If she didn't come up with a solution, she feared that Ziwei would also fall victim to Saint Ruan's poison. Su Yingxue ventured into the Medicine King Valley, approaching the spiritual spring. She checked on the little creatures she had been feeding for days. The colors on their backs had become even more vibrant. Little Ginseng floated over and said, Hey, don't give me such a lecherous look. They are my little darlings. Having raised them for so long, I had developed a sense of attachment to them. Su Yingxue gently stroked its tendrils and replied, No. The food I feed them won't harm them. It will only increase their toxicity. Moreover, growing near the spiritual spring, their bodies will naturally absorb its medicinal properties. Eventually, their venom could be utilized both as a toxin and for medicinal purposes. When combined with the spiritual spring water, it would become her weapon against Saint Ruan. What diabolical plans are you brewing now? Little Ginseng noticed that Su Yingxue was becoming interested in poison. Her eyes gleamed with a sinister intensity, giving her an eerie and terrifying appearance. After ensuring that the little creatures had eaten their fill, Su Yingxue captured one and let it rest on her wrist. She allowed it to bite her. Hey. If you want to die, don't drag me down. Little Ginseng anxiously protested. Now that it was inhabiting Su Yingxue's body, if she were poisoned to death by the scorpion, it would also meet its demise. Don't worry, Su Yingxue reassured it. She opened her eyes, revealing 2 puncture wounds on her snow-white wrist. Dark red poison rapidly infiltrated her bloodstream, causing her face to flush purple as she collapsed to the ground. Saint Ruan, who had been observing from a room beam, realized, not good. Chapter 328. The vicious Su Yingxue. He looked at Su Yingxue, saying proudly, "Little girl, did you think you could poison me with your abilities?" When he was playing with poison, he didn't even know where Su Yingxue's mother was. Yet she wanted to poison him? Su Yingxue crossed her arms in front of her chest, and her fox-like eyes revealed a crafty light. "It wasn't important whether I could poison you to death. What was important was to lure you out." "Hey, what if you lured me out? Didn't that little guard beside you tell you that one could come and go freely in the Silver Moon Pavilion?" Saint Ruan waved his long red sleeves, revealing a dark pattern embroidered with golden thread. On it was embroidered a couple in an intimate position. Su Yingxue immediately turned her head. How flirtatious! And it hurt my eyes. Saint Ruan seemed to be used to her reaction, and snorted seductively. "Little girl, seeing that you were the first person who dared to poison me in so many years, kneel and kowtow to me and call me master. Master would protect you, and you could run rampant in the great Qing dynasty." Saint Ruan spoke quite loudly. Su Yingxue had always found it strange. How did his arrogant attitude and the way he treated her as an elder match up with his handsome and devilish face? "Are you even worthy of being my master?" Su Yingxue sneered. "Su Yingxue, when I was playing with poison for 30 years, you were still in your mother's womb." Saint Ruan had a problem. He loved to argue. 30 years. "Are you an old demon?" Su Yingxue looked at his head of white hair. At first glance, she thought that Saint Ruan's eccentric personality might have caused him to have a head of white hair. She did not expect him to. "I am the most handsome old demon." Saint Ruan swung his white hair, his eyes shining with a hint of temptation. However, after saying that, he felt that something was wrong. When did he become an old demon? Ha 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 ha. Su Yingxue laughed so hard that she was swaying back and forth. "Yes, you were indeed the oldest demon." "Su Yingxue, how dare you tease me?" The old demon was furious. He had lived for so many years, but this was the first time someone had dared to treat him like this. He wanted to teach this little girl a lesson. Shadow guards. The corners of Su Yingxue's mouth curled up. Countless shadows descended from the sky and surrounded Saint Ruan. Saint Ruan's eyes froze. Chu Yihan's shadow guards? "You young girl, you could mobilize his men? Why did he encounter such a strange thing today?" Chu Yihan was a 1,000-year-old iceberg, and his subordinates were never easily mobilized. Su Yingxue could order his shadow guards around. Su Yingxue's cold jade was hanging around her neck. She placed the cold jade in her palm, and her eyes suddenly turned cold. "Hit him." Saint Ruan's eyes widened. "Su Yingxue, how dare you use Chu Yihan's men against me? If you could poison the people around me, why couldn't I attack you? You had to be careful. Although you could delay the poison's effect, your Highness shadow guards are all chosen 1 in 1,000. Su Yingxue's smile took on a touch of allure. Like a flower by the side of the river in the netherworld. The moment Saint Ruan took a breath, the poison in his blood began to surge. Detoxification was a piece of cake for him, but he still had to deal with Chu Yihan's people. He couldn't keep sealing his bloodline. The poison would still flow as he attacked. This damned Su Yingxue. Her mind was so ruthless and vicious. "Stinky girl, wait for me." Saint Ruan could only choose to escape, but even if he did, he couldn't immediately shake off the shadow guards. The shadow guards chased after him relentlessly. He tried to detoxify himself as he ran, and he almost fell into the hands of the shadow guards several times. He finally managed to cure the poison, but the shadow guards continued to attack him. His lightness skill was outstanding, but he was almost exhausted to death before he managed to escape from the shadow guards. Chapter 329. Su Yingxue help. After escaping to his residence, before he succumbed to exhaustion, he panted and gritted his teeth. "Su Yingxue, just wait." Su Yingxue was waiting for Saint Ruan at any moment, but she was certain that, for the time being, Saint Ruan wouldn't dare to seek revenge on her. He needed to take some time to recover, and also be wary of Chu Yihan's shadow guards. As she had expected, even after he had cured himself, Saint Wuan didn't dare to act recklessly. Su Yingxue, this little girl is too devious. He had been lured out using himself as bait, poisoned, and even had Chu Yihan's shadow guards mobilized to go after him. Saint Wuan thought back to his 70 years of age. This was the first time he had been teased like this, and the one doing it was a girl of merely 15 or 16. This was an enormous humiliation. He was determined to use all his knowledge to develop a poison that would make Su Yingxue kneel and sing his praises. However, before he could finish developing the poison, the Silver Moon Pavilion summoned him. Saint Wuan still wore his flamboyant red attire as he made his way over. He and Hong Lian exchanged fiery words, but Hong Lian frowned every time she saw his belt. "You're getting up there in years. Can't you be a bit more dignified?" Saint Wuan snorted in disdain. "You're already so old. Aren't you still single?" Mocking him? Ha! Hong Lian's eyes darkened. She knew Saint Wuan had a sharp tongue, so she didn't argue with him and issued her order. "The one you need to poison this time is her." She handed the token to Saint Wuan. To be honest, if he hadn't been brought under the Silver Moon Pavilion, he really wouldn't have cared for Hong Lian. She always acted so solemnly. He took the token, and on it was written the name of the person he had to target. He rolled his eyes. "If I'm going to poison someone, it will be Su Yingxue. She's the only one worthy of being my opponent. These kinds of people don't deserve me to use poison on them." And he used such a cunning poison. He wasn't having any of it. Hong Lian sat in the golden chair and raised her chin. "This is the Pavilion Master's order." Pavilion Master, he. Saint Wuan was filled with frustration. "I understand." He took the token and left. Hong Lian watched his arrogant departure with a sinister look in her eyes. "Su Yingxue, I want to see just how capable you are." Su Yingxue waited for Saint Wuan for a few days, but he never came to cause trouble for her. The people around her also remained unpoisoned. Life was peaceful and normal. However, this kind of normalcy made her feel somewhat abnormal. "Imperial Aunt. Aunt Su. Help. Help." Su Yingxue was sitting in the treatment room when Chu Jinling burst in. He was in such a hurry that he didn't watch where he was going and bumped his head on the door frame, instantly reddening his nose. "Ninth Prince, are you okay?" Seeing this, Manager Qi quickly brought some ointment to help him. They couldn't afford to offend this favored prince. Chu Jinling waved Manager Qi away. "I'm fine." He rushed over to Su Yingxue and pulled her up. "Imperial Aunt, come with me quickly to see Sisi. She's on the brink of death. Help." "Sisi?" Su Yingxue suddenly had a bad feeling. Chu Jinling brought her to the general manor. Outside Lin Sisi's room, Lin Outyan was shouting, "Are you all useless? Imperial Physician, why can't you save my daughter? If she dies, I will take your lives." The Imperial Physician had always dealt only with medicine, and he couldn't withstand Lin Aoshan's fury. They trembled. "General Lin, please calm down. Miss Lin can't be saved. The poison is too potent." Chapter 330. Only cruelty can survive poisoned? Su Yingxue's heart had skipped a beat. She quickly pushed through the crowd and rushed to Lin Sisi's bedside. She had held Lin Sisi's hand and felt her pulse. Then, she looked at Lin Sisi's expression and widened her eyes. "Sisi, how could this be? Such a powerful poison had been Saint Wuan's doing. But why would Saint Wuan poison her? Dr. Su, was I going to die?" Lin Sisi's eyes had been filled with sorrow. She had been like a man who bled but did not cry. At that moment, her eyes had been filled with fear. Su Yingxue held her hand tightly, giving her strength and support. "Don't worry. With me around, you definitely won't die." She wouldn't die. Su Yingxue hadn't let Lin Sisi die. Su Yingxue had thrown the medicine box on the table and had begun to prepare the medicine. Lin Outyan had roared until his face had been red. He had ignored his old illness and had rushed to Su Yingxue's side. "Dr. Su, you could save Sisi, right? Those imperial physicians were all trash. When they had come, they had said that Sisi's poison had already reached her lungs, and that she couldn't be saved. But your medical skills were superb. One had known that you could save her." Su Yingxue's expression had been cold and dark, and her red lips had been tightly pursed into a line. She hadn't answered Lin Outyin, but her hands had trembled slightly. As time passed, Lin Sisi's breathing had become weaker and weaker. Chu Jinling had held her hand tightly and had said to her, "Sisi, don't fall asleep. Open your eyes and look at me. 1. I'm so good looking. If you close your eyes, you won't be able to see. I can't bear it either." Lin Sisi had reached out to hug him. She had liked him and hadn't been able to bear closing her eyes. She hadn't been able to bear leaving him. "Dr. Su, genius Dr. Su. Hurry up. Sisi can't hold on much longer." Lin Outyin, who had been on the battlefield without even frowning, had been so anxious that his eyes had been red, and tears had kept rolling in his eyes. An hour later, Yingxue had finally finished concocting the medicine. However, she hadn't been in a hurry to give Lin Sisi the antidote. Instead, she had told Lin Outyin with a heavy expression, "To detoxify Sisi, other than this antidote, there is one more thing that needs to be done. You guys, are you willing?" What else was there to be unwilling about? Saving lives was more important. In Lin Aoshan's eyes, his daughter's life had been more important than the sky. In Chu Jinling's arms, Lin Sisi hadn't been able to open her eyes. He had put down Lin Sisi and had snatched the medicine from Su Yingxue's hands. "It's too late, give it to her." Ninth Prince. Cautious. "This medicine, it will force all the poison onto her face, and then what? Sisi. Sisi, wake up." Chu Jinling had been about to break down. He had looked at Yingxue with red eyes. "No matter what, I wanted Sisi alive. She can't die." Yingxue had taken a deep breath. Her heart had ached as if someone had punched her. She would wake up after drinking this medicine. However, within 6 hours, I had to cut open her face and let out the poisonous blood. Otherwise, there would be no way to save her. What was it? Cut open her face? Chu Jinling had been stunned. His lips had trembled. Why? Why must you be so cruel? How important was a woman's appearance? Why was this so? My daughter. Why does my daughter have to suffer like this? Dr. Su, is there no other way? Lin Aoshan's heart had ached. Of course, his daughter's life had been important. But this had been too cruel for a girl like her. Yingxue had bitten her lip. There's no other way. If she wanted to live, she had to be disfigured. Chapter 331. Lin Sisi will be disfigured. This was a poison developed by Saint Ruan specifically for women, which was beauty-stealing poison. Changing a woman's appearance and making her lose her happiness forever was the crudest thing to a woman. To all the women in the world, disfiguring was a fate worse than death. Yingxue looked at Lin Sisi on the bed, and a wave of hatred suddenly rose in her heart. Because of her, Saint Ruan had come to harm Lin Sisi. Dr. Su, Sisi's life is important. Give her the medicine. Lin Outyin rubbed his eyes hard. His deep voice was laced with pain, as if his heart was being cut by a knife. Yingxue gave Lin Sisi some medicine, and her breathing gradually stabilized. Yingxue looked at Chu Jinling, who had been guarding her side and had been carefully protecting her. She asked in a low voice, "Ninth Prince, one was going to release the poisonous blood for her later. You?" She felt unspeakable guilt in her heart. She was afraid that Lin Sisi would break down, and she was even more afraid that Chu Jinling would treat her badly because of Lin Sisi's appearance. Chu Jinling was stunned for a moment, and then he smiled. "It just cut her face, and it is just a few more scars. Sisi is a forthright and generous woman. She wouldn't mind." Su Yingxue's eyes were slightly moist. An hour later, the poison had all gathered on Lin Sisi's face. Her face was swollen and purple, and her veins and meridians were about to burst through her skin. Lin Sisi woke up, but she felt that her breathing was not smooth and her face was still in pain. She forced her eyes open, but she could only open them a little. "Father, Dr. Su, my face hurts." Her voice was buzzing, and her lips were swollen. Lin Outyin looked at his daughter's expression, and felt as if his heart was being stabbed by a knife. His eyes were red, and his voice was choked with sobs. "Sisi, bear with it. Dr. Su had already given you the antidote. As long as the poisonous blood is released, you'll be fine." Poisonous blood? How should the blood be released? Dr. Su, what happened to my face? Why does it hurt so much? Lin Sisi felt her face swell up as if she was blowing air. She was almost unable to speak. She reached out to touch her face, but Chu Jinling quickly held her hand down. Don't be afraid. She was going to let you bleed later. It's just a few cuts. When the poisonous blood is released, and the wound heals, you'll be fine. Lin Sisi calmed down a little. She wasn't afraid of pain, so she didn't mind a few cuts. She only felt that her father looked weird when he cried. Su Yingxue's gaze was also weird. Only Chu Jinling's gentle smile made her feel at ease. Chu Jinling kept caressing her hand and said that she was fine. She was no longer afraid. However, her face hurt badly. Su Yingxue was afraid that she would resist, so she wanted to put some knockout powder in her water to make her faint before letting her bleed. But when she handed the water to Lin Sisi, she was stunned. If she hadn't been with Su Yingxue for such a long time, she would have just drunk it. However, she could smell the smell of knockout powder in the water. Why did she need to faint? As the daughter of a general, Lin Sisi naturally had keen senses. She put the water aside and said with a frown, "My stomach hurts." Chu Jinling and Su Yingxue went outside. Su Yingxue looked at Chu Jinling. His brows were filled with worry for Lin Sisi. She couldn't help but ask, "If Sisi is disfigured, do you not mind?" Su Yingxue felt that when she asked this question, Lin Outyin could not help but look over. He was very optimistic about Lin Sisi being together with Chu Jinling. However, Lin Sisi's incident had caused him to be apprehensive, and he couldn't bring himself to ask Chu Jinling. Chapter 332, Staying Alive, but he was also very nervous about Chu Jinling's answer. Chu Jinling shrugged. Whether I care or not, she is my Sisi. But if Sisi is disfigured, noble consort, Lin Outyin hesitated. He was in a difficult position. If Lin Sisi became an imperial consort in the future, he would have to care about her appearance. Especially the Xiao family behind noble consort Xiao. Would they allow a disfigured woman to become Chu Jinling's imperial consort? Chu Jinling was about to say that his mother was not someone who judged based on looks. A scream suddenly came from the inner room. Ah! My face! How did my face become like this? How did this happen? Lin Sisi screamed. Chu Jinling rushed in and saw her frightened and confused look. He quickly hugged her. Sisi, don't be afraid. It's okay. If we release the poisonous blood, your face won't be like this. You'll be fine. Release the poisonous blood. Are you trying to cut open my face? Lin Sisi cupped her face with both hands. Every word she said caused her face to twitch in pain. Her heart felt like it was hanging on the edge of a cliff and could shatter at any moment. Sisi, don't be afraid. Your face is injured. You'll be fine after you recover. The most important thing now is to save your life. Lin Aoshan's hands trembled helplessly. The mighty general didn't know how to comfort his daughter. Dr. Su, can you avoid cutting my face? I don't want to be disfigured. I'm afraid to go back to how I was before. Lin Sisi choked. She had suffered from the pain of being ugly since she was young. It wasn't easy for her to be cured by Su Yingxue. She had held her head high and puffed out her chest, becoming confident and radiant. Now they were going to cut her face and make her even uglier than before. She resisted violently and shook her head desperately. I don't want to. Dr. Su, give me some medicine to reduce the swelling on my face. I don't want to become so ugly. I don't want to, she couldn't help but shout. Unable to reach the whip at her waist, she pushed the table over, smashed the teacups, and made a mess of the room. Sisi, don't be angry. Staying alive is the most important thing. Your face doesn't matter. With father here, no one will dare to laugh at you. Lin Outyin wanted to get closer. Lin Sisi turned around abruptly and stared at him with bloodshot eyes. No. They will laugh, they will scold me, they will say that I'm an ugly monster who can't get married. One don't want to live like this anymore. I want to appear in front of people openly. I don't want to. Everything in the past flashed through her mind, and her entire person was wrapped in fear. Especially when her gaze fell on Chu Jinling, she subconsciously covered her face. Chu Jinling heard her sobbing. He smiled and went forward to rub Lin Sisi's head. Don't be afraid. If anyone dares to laugh at you, General Lin will beat them up for you. I'll beat them up so that they won't dare to say another word. Lin Sisi bit her lip. One don't want to. If my face is ruined, I can't marry you. She wanted to marry Chu Jinling and be with him for the rest of her life. Who said that? Father and mother dote on me so much. I have the final say in who I want to marry. Chu Jinling's hearty voice always sounded so reassuring. Su Yingxue felt a little uncomfortable hearing this. Although Lin Sisi was a military officer, she knew that the appearance of an imperial consort was more important than her status. You lied to me. If I were an ugly monster, emperor, the emperor and the noble consort would not agree. Lin Sisi retreated to the dressing mirror. She had smashed everything in the room, but couldn't bear to touch the items on the dressing table. Chapter 333. Father, bestow marriage upon me. Her beautiful clothes, her rouge jewelry, she cherished and caressed them, her heartache. If she had to live the rest of her life under everyone's ridicule, she would rather die. Sisi, wait for me. After Chu Jinling finished speaking, he ran out like a gust of wind. He flew into the palace and went to Chu Mingjiwan's place first. He knelt in front of him and said, Father, I wanted to get married. Please quickly bestow a marriage to me. Chu Mingyuan frowned as he read the memorials. Married? Marry who? Chu Jinling was not outstanding among his many sons, but he had a pure heart and had always been obedient. Now that he suddenly said that he wanted to get married, he was slightly surprised. Lin Sisi, General Lin's daughter, father, I and Sisi are both in love. I've already proposed marriage to General Lin. Write the imperial decree now, and 111 bring it to the general manor immediately. Chu Jinling pounced in front of the imperial table, his fair and handsome face full of anxiety. Nonsense. Chu Mingyuan reprimanded him. How can a prince propose marriage so hastily? General Lin's daughter can be your imperial consort, but she needs to be betrothed by the Ministry of Rights after I bestow the marriage. You are so impatient and have lost the face of the royal family. One will tell your mother to teach you a lesson. Chu Mingyuan rarely got angry at Chu Jinling. Chu Jinling was most afraid that he would get angry. In the past, he would have already hidden to the side and shivered. But now he found an imperial edict and urged him with red eyes. Father, one beg you, please write the imperial edict. One want to marry Sisi. One want to marry Sisi. What happened? Chu Mingjiwan's brows furrowed as he noticed that something was wrong with Chu Jinling. Chu Jinling explained the reason to him. He leaned on the table nervously. Father, Sisi doesn't have time. I'm afraid one won't be able to make it in time if one rush back. Please hurry. If it wasn't for the fact that overstepping one's authority was a major crime, he would have written an imperial edict and stamped it with the jade seal before rushing back to General Manor. Chu Mingyuan put down his brush, and his face darkened. Lin Sisi is about to be disfigured. How can you marry a disfigured princess? One won't allow it. Father. Chu Jinling widened his eyes and grabbed Chu Mingjiwan's arm anxiously. I want Sisi. One don't care. I want to marry her. You. Chu Mingyuan had always doted on him, but he couldn't stand him making such a fuss, so he ordered people to call noble consort Xiao over. Noble consort Xiao grabbed Chu Jinling by the ear and took him away. In noble consort Xiao's palace, she kicked Chu Jinling into the main hall and reprimanded him coldly. Are you crazy? How dare you go to your father's place to cause trouble? If one don't beat you up for 3 days, you want to cause trouble again. Mother, please help me beg my father to bestow me with a marriage. Sisi is waiting for me. His heart was anxious. If he wasn't afraid of deceiving the emperor, he wanted to follow his father's handwritten imperial edict. Noble consort Xiao elegantly laid on the chaise lounge, exuding an air of nobility. If that girl from the Lin family is unharmed and becomes your main consort, as long as you're happy, I won't say anything. But she's disfigured. How can an ugly woman be the imperial consort? Sisi isn't an ugly woman, she isn't. Chu Jinling stood up angrily and rushed to his mother. She is the most beautiful. Come on, that young girl can only be considered delicate and pretty. She also likes to brandish knives and guns. How can she be as beautiful as the girls of our Xiao family? If you like her, I can let her be your concubine. Noble consort Xiao supported her head lazily. Beside her, the palace servants were meticulously serving her. Chapter 334. Chu Jinling self-destructs her face. Chu Jinling created a commotion. I don't want a secondary consort. Want to marry Sisi. Mother, are you going to help me plead with father? He pouted with a serious expression, resembling a child throwing a tantrum. Noble consort Xiao sneered. No. I am too lazy to make this trip. Moreover, the Xiao family has already chosen a candidate for imperial consort. Once your father issues an imperial decree, you'll marry a miss from our Xiao family as the imperial consort. Only then will the Xiao family prosper forever. I don't want to. Chu Jinling sat down in front of noble consort Xiao. He grabbed noble consort Xiao's well-maintained hand. I don't care how great the Xiao family's miss is. I want Sisi. Immediately. Don't touch it. I've just done my nails. Noble consort Xiao said in annoyance, withdrawing her hand. Mother, I'm not joking. Sisi's life is in grave danger. She can only be at peace with father's imperial decree. I want her to live well. Even if she's disfigured, I want to marry her and love her for the rest of my life. Chu Jinling's eyes grew deep, like an unmeltable puddle of thick ink. For a brief moment, noble consort Xiao was moved by the sincerity in Chu Jinling's eyes. However, that moment quickly passed, and her eyes returned to scorn. Fine. Love her for a while. There will be plenty of other women you won't be able to resist in the future. Now get out and cool off. No, I won't. There will be no one else but her. Mother, I will only marry Sisi. Can you promise me? Chu Jinling's tone softened, and he knelt before noble consort Xiao, earnestly kowtowing. For a brief moment, noble consort Xiao's heart was touched. Your translation is correct, and I've made only a few minor adjustments to ensure past tense consistency and maintain your typesetting. The sincerity in Chu Jinling's eyes moved her. However, in just a moment, her eyes were still filled with mockery. Come on. Before long, you won't be saying this. She found Chu Jinling to be noisy and waved her hand, motioning to chase him out. Chu Jinling's face darkened. His voice was low and hoarse, carrying a coldness he had never displayed before. Mother doesn't believe me, right? Noble consort Xiao shook her head, her eyes still filled with disdain. She had personally raised her son. How could she not know that he was as playful as a child? It was just that he had little experience, so she believed that he was looking at things with youthful naivety. However, she didn't notice the darkness in Chu Jinling's eyes. He went to a side chamber and took a small knife. Right in front of her, he pressed it against his face and forcefully cut. Blood gushed out, covering his fair face instantly. It was glaringly vivid. Chu Jinling, are you crazy? Noble consort Xiao screamed and stood up. She rushed toward Chu Jinling, shouting without caring about her image. Court physician. Where are the court physicians? Are you all useless? Quickly summon the court physician. My child. Her usual calm and arrogance were instantly shattered. Tears welled up in Chu Jinling's eyes and mixed with the blood. His voice became hoarse. Mother, Sisi is waiting for me. One only want her. Noble consort Xiao cradled his face and cried in pain. All right, mother promises you. I promise you anything. Her beloved child. How could she bear to see him disfigure himself? For hours passed, and Lin Yihan had someone tie Lin Sisi up. His eyes were bloodshot, and he spoke with seriousness. Sisi, one don't care what your face looks like. I won't let you die. The 9th prince doesn't want you anymore, but father will support you for the rest of your life. The blood on Lin Sisi's face had already turned purple-black. If she didn't bleed now, there would be no turning back. Yingxue had already prepared a sharp dagger. She stood beside Lin Sisi. Sisi, save your life. I, Yingxue, will use all my medical skills to restore your face. Chapter 335. Accompany You. She swore that she wouldn't let Lin Sisi live like this forever. I don't want to. I'd rather die. Lin Sisi screamed, her voice breaking, and with every word, blood seeped from her lips. She coughed violently, and her eyes were almost swollen shut. But even with her blurred vision, her gaze fixed on the door. Chu Jinling had told her to wait, and she wanted to wait for him. She was afraid. Afraid that he would be frightened away, leaving her forever. Sisi, don't look. Lin Outyin sighed heavily, glancing at Yingxue. Dr. Su, go ahead. I don't want this. Dr. Su, please wait for Jinling. I'll wait for him. You're running out of time. Yingxue, with a solemn expression, looked at Lin Sisi's face. Taking a deep breath, she opened her eyes once more and approached Lin Sisi with a dagger. Though Lin Sisi wanted to resist, Lin Outyin sealed her acupoints, rendering her immobile. As Yingxue's blade neared her face, tears blurred Lin Sisi's vision, and she closed her eyes in despair. Sisi. Chu Jinling rushed in at lightning speed, tripping over a screen in his excitement. He landed at Lin Sisi's feet, eating a mouthful of dust, then hurriedly lifted the item in his hand. Sisi, my father has decreed our marriage. You have to marry me, you can't run away. Hiss. The wound on his face had been hastily treated, and his excited speech now elicited a surge of pain. Yingxue quickly helped him up, casting a curious look at Chu Jinling's injured face. Before she could question him, Chu Jinling limped over to Lin Sisi, unfurling the imperial edict. Look, father has bestowed you with marriage to me. You're my imperial consort. No matter what you become in the future, you have to marry me. Lin Sisi glanced at Lin Outyin, who promptly released her acupoints. Struggling to open her eyes, all she could see was a yellow blur, and she wept in frustration. I can't see. The pain on Chu Jinling's face intensified. Let me read it to you. In the Lin family there's a daughter, gentle, graceful, elegant, dignified, and wise. Let me see. Lin Outyin snatched the imperial edict from Chu Jinling's hand, scanning the words and focusing on the red seal to confirm its authenticity. He laughed with relief. Sisi, this is truly the Emperor's imperial edict, granting you the title of imperial consort. That's right. Father-in-law wouldn't deceive you, right? What else is there to worry about? Chu Jinling smoothly changed his tune. Lin Outyin was momentarily taken aback. Realizing the situation, he hastily patted Chu Jinling's back. Of course. The 9th prince is already my son-in-law. If he dares to mistreat you, I'll help you seek justice. Chu Jinling's martial skills were mediocre, and after being slapped by Lin Outyin a few times, he erupted into a fit of coughing. He struggled to concur. I won't let you down. With Lin Outyin as his father-in-law, he would think twice about any abandonment. Moreover, he had no intention of doing so. Approaching Lin Sisi, he cupped her face and tenderly kissed her. Don't worry, no matter how you look, you are my one and only imperial consort. Tears blurred Lin Sisi's vision, but her smile carried a trace of happiness. She gently parted her lips. Dr. Su, proceed. I'm not afraid anymore. Yingxue nodded solemnly. Understood. She glanced at Chu Jinling and inquired, will you stay and watch? The process of purging the poison was not for the faint of heart. Chu Jinling smiled faintly. I'll stay with her. Otherwise, she'll be frightened. As he spoke, he tightly held Lin Sisi's hand. Chapter 336. Do you dare to compete with me in poison? The entire process of bleeding was difficult to bear, even for Yingxue. She watched as Lin Sisi's face, marred with scars, had poison blood licking her wounds, leaving behind permanent marks. Her heart grew heavy. On the other hand, Chu Jinling remained steadfast by Lin Sisi's side. With his presence, Lin Sisi endured in silence, gritting her teeth until the procedure was completed. After Yingxue finished cleaning her hands, she took a deep breath as she exited the room. She walked up to General Lin and made a solemn promise. General Lin, one will find a way to restore Sisi's face, and I will seek vengeance on her behalf. Lin Aotian was perplexed. Dr. Su, what does this have to do with you? He had always believed that Lin Sisi had been poisoned due to his outspoken nature and the enemies he had made in the court. Su Yingxue didn't elaborate further. After returning to the Marquis Manor, she gathered the shadow guards and instructed them to continue tracking Saint Ruan. She was certain that Saint Ruan wouldn't dare to poison Chu Yihan's people, even if they were pursuing him. In less than a day, Su Yingxue encountered the infuriated Saint Ruan. His white hair appeared somewhat disheveled, and his bewitching peach blossom eyes revealed intense anger. Su Yingxue, have you no sense of morality? If you're capable, deal with me directly instead of using Chu Yihan's people as pawns. You're shameless. Su Yingxue sneered, her demeanor exuding a fierce and domineering aura. Am shameless? Compared to a renowned poison doctor who poisons an innocent woman, one consider myself far inferior. I, Saint Ruan, who had always been arrogant, couldn't continue to boast in this situation. He pursed his lips uncomfortably. It was done on someone else's orders. Orders from the Silver Moon Pavilion? Su Yingxue's eyes carried a strong sense of mockery. Saint Ruan seemed uneasy. One don't believe that you're not bound by others. But didn't you cure the girl? It's just a minor blemish, it's no big deal. No big deal. Su Yingxue snapped her red rainsoft whip. One want to see if you consider it a big deal. From the moment she had met Saint Ruan, she had understood his obsession with his appearance. He meticulously maintained it. Her whip carried a palpable sense of menace as it targeted his face. Saint Ruan deftly dodged it, performing an acrobatic maneuver on the ceiling before landing unscathed in front of Su Yingxue. He spoke arrogantly, Su Yingxue, other than Chu Yihan, very few people in the world can get close to me. You should not overestimate yourself. Su Yingxue held her long whip. Unfortunately, one tend to overestimate myself and make my opponents kneel before me and weep. Ha! Are all of Chu Yihan's women so ignorant? Saint Ruan said disdainfully. However, Su Yingxue did not launch another attack. Su Yingxue coiled her long whip and maintained a composed and serene expression on her breathtakingly beautiful face. I am determined to challenge your sense of self-importance, Saint Ruan, in the realm of poison. Do you dare? Challenge in what? Saint Ruan crossed his arms, appearing unperturbed. Challenge in poison. Challenge in poison? Saint Ruan's eyes displayed disbelief. He even checked his ears, perhaps thinking that age had affected his hearing. Say it again. Do you want to challenge me in using poison? He hadn't heard something so intriguing in years. A young woman who could be her granddaughter wanted to challenge him in using poison. Su Yingxue, do you know that when one used poison your mother? Cut the crap. Are you saying that you don't dare to compete with me in poison just because you're an old demon? Su Yingxue scoffed. Chapter 337. The Empress couldn't take this. Lying down, Saint Ruan placed one hand on his waist and casually flicked a strand of his white hair. I'm just worried that you, a young girl, will suffer a humiliating defeat. I finally found something entertaining, and one wanted to keep you around for a few more years, but it seems like you're seeking death. It's not certain who's courting death, but if you're not up for it, I won't force you. Su Yingxue held her red jade soft whip, her eyes filled with disdain for Saint Ruan. There were two expressions that Saint Ruan despised the most in his life. One was indifference. For instance, the indifference displayed by Chu Yihan, who despite provoking a strong desire to confront him, refrained from doing so. The other was disdain. Just like the look on Su Yingxue's face right now. It reminded him of the way a woman had looked at him many years ago. Su Yingxue, one will compete with you. Don't worry, one will certainly develop a poison that will make you wish for death. After saying this, Saint Ruan left without leaving a trace. Su Yingxue narrowed her eyes. Then let's see who ends up victorious. Hey, this person has a strong presence of poison. And he's even older than your grandfather. Do you want to compete with him in poison? Are you ready to give up your life, as well as mine? In Su Yingxue's mind, little Ginseng pouted with a cute angry expression. Don't worry, I'm not looking to die young. Su Yingxue closed the door and entered the Medicine King Valley. She had set up a study room for herself, and after organizing her mother's belongings, she took out a book from the bookshelf. In it, her mother had written hasty notes about Saint Ruan. Her mother was someone who couldn't sit still. Whenever she had spare time, she would delve into various medicinal topics and people associated with medicine. This included Saint Ruan, and her records contained information about Saint Ruan's fiancé. There was also one type of poison that he had failed to develop throughout his life, intoxicating fragrance. In the Fengzhou Palace, after receiving the news, Lu Fu hurried into the palace and knelt in front of the Empress. "Your Majesty, our people have returned with information." The Empress, who had worn a troubled expression for a long time, immediately perked up. "Speak." Yingxue and Saint Ruan met in secret. It's said that the two of them intend to engage in a poison duel. Lu Fu reported. "A poison duel?" The Empress' gaze suddenly turned sharp, and her teeth ground together. "Yingxue, you're underestimating yourself. You're seeking your death." "Your Majesty, Saint Ruan is a renowned poison doctor, and no one dares to provoke him. If Yingxue competes with him in poison, she'll undoubtedly meet her end at his hands." "Your Majesty can finally vent your anger." Lu Fu fawned, grinning. Ever since Chu Jinling was dispatched to guard the imperial mausoleum, the Empress had been wearing a troubled expression, and had kept a close watch on Yingxue every day. Now that she had received this news, she was naturally elated. However, the Empress narrowed her eyes. "No. Yingxue is crafty. One want to watch her die. Watch her struggle desperately in front of everyone in Saint Ruan's presence, unable to escape death. Only this kind of torment would befit my son." Her beloved Chu Jinling, the core of her heart. His life was destroyed by Yingxue. How could she swallow this humiliation? "Your Majesty is brilliant." Lu Fu smiled obsequiously. Chu Jinling was paying his respects in the palace when he heard his mother's words. His heart sank. Chapter 338. The smell of gunpowder between two men. He walked up to the Empress and held her hand. "Mother, the third brother is in the imperial mausoleum. I have already arranged everything for him. The old citizens of the Yu Kingdom have also been appeased. In 3 years, he can return to Jiangdu City." The Empress was originally very gratified. "Thank you for your hard work, Yihan. Mother, do you still want to deal with Yingxue?" Chu Jinling looked troubled. The Empress' face suddenly darkened, and her voice was as cold as ice. "What? Are you still going to plead for that woman? She caused your third brother to be like this. She made your father hate you and even rejected you time and time again. Have you been bewitched by her?" "No, Mother, one only feel that she is, after all, the legitimate daughter of the Marquis Manor. Now that Hao is guarding the Bamboo Leaf Pass, which is a border fortress, if you kill her, I'm afraid it will lead to enmity with the Marquis Manor." Chu Jingling's eyes flickered, and his mind wavered. "I am the Empress. Do you still need to fear a mere Marquis Manor?" The Empress slammed the table angrily. "Yihan, remember this. Yingxue must die. She humiliated me and Xiao. Even if she dies 100 times, it's not enough." Chu Jinling refrained from pleading for Yingxue, but in his heart, he couldn't bear to see her die. He had yet to win her heart back. The woman who had once been obsessed with him should at least have him in her heart, even in death. In preparation for her upcoming poison duel with Saint Ruan, Yingxue locked herself in her room for several days and nights. She had given strict orders not to be disturbed, not even by Su Dingheng. However, there was a knock on her door, and Xilan's troubled voice sounded. "Miss, the 7th prince is here." Yingxue emerged from the Medicine King Valley. She walked to the door and impatiently said, "Tell him to leave." "Yingxue, if you don't come out, don't regret it." Chu Jinling ground his teeth. He had come to see her out of kindness, and she dared to tell him to leave. "Your Highness, take a left after leaving. Farewell." Yingxue's indifference was mixed with a very evident disgust. What a waste of her time. "Yingxue, come out. One have something to tell you." Chu Jinling exclaimed in frustration. If it weren't for her life, he wouldn't have come here to be treated coldly by Yingxue. Yingxue took the red jade soft whip, and planned to give Chu Jinling a good whipping after opening the door, so that he would no longer have the audacity to harass her. As soon as he opened the door, he felt an extremely terrifying aura of killing intent in the courtyard, causing the pressure in the entire courtyard to plummet. "Your Highness." Her eyes brightened. The moment Chu Jinling saw Su Yingxue, his heart skipped a beat. He didn't know when it had started, but he found it increasingly difficult to control his emotions when he saw her, even though she had never pursued him as passionately as before. However, the light in her eyes was now because she saw Chu Yihan. Jealousy surged within Chu Jinling. He positioned himself between Su Yingxue and Chu Yihan and unfriendlily said, "What is Imperial Uncle doing here? Su Yingxue hasn't married yet, so Imperial Uncle can't just visit a girl's residence." Chu Yihan's gaze landed on him, and his icy voice carried a strong sense of authority. "Who gave you the courage to question me?" Anyone who met Chu Yihan's gaze either died or was left half dead. Chu Jinling had never been on good terms with him, and now the atmosphere became tense. "Su Yingxue had a betrothal with me. It's only natural for me to come to her place. Imperial Uncle should avoid arousing suspicion." Chapter 339. The Kiss of Punishment. Who has an engagement with you? 7th Prince, people should care about their reputation. If you think your face is unattractive, don't bring it to me. I find it ugly too. Su Yingxue looked at him with disdain. Then she cast a soft, delicate gaze at Chu Yihan, as if she were a vulnerable little white rabbit. As if she had perked up her ears, she explained in a whimpering tone, "I have nothing to do with him. He's the one who's been bothering me." Chu Yihan's originally ice-cold face softened slightly upon hearing Su Yingxue's words, and a faint smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. 7th Prince, if you don't have any urgent matters, I won't detain you any longer. Marquis Manor has many affairs to attend to, so please understand." Su Yingxue politely signaled for him to leave. Chu Jinling felt as if he had been slapped. He gazed at Chu Yihan resentfully. "You don't have time for me, but you find time to meet with Imperial Uncle?" Su Yingxue didn't respond immediately. Chu Yihan's eyes exuded a deep and suffocating aura as he asked, "Are you not convinced?" Chu Jinling gritted his teeth. Of course he was not convinced. Originally, Chu Jinling had been the only one in Su Yingxue's heart, the woman who would become his 7th imperial consort. Now her focus had shifted entirely to Chu Yihan. How could he be convinced? "I'm only thinking of Imperial Uncle. I don't want today's incident to tarnish your reputation." He snorted coldly. Chu Yihan was quite magnanimous. "If you want it to spread, it'll help you." But for now he had instructed Mochi to drive this person away. What an eyesore. Chu Jinling couldn't accept it, and watched as Su Yingxue brought Chu Yihan into her chambers. He widened his eyes and muttered, "Su Yingxue, you shameless woman. 7th Prince, please be careful with your words. It's one thing to insult others, but your highness is your imperial uncle." Mochi kindly reminded. Chu Jinling felt a sense of oppression. If it weren't for the fact that Mochi was in front of him, he would have certainly taken action. However, Mochi was Chu Yihan's right-hand man, the top expert in the prince's mansion. He might not be a match for him. When he saw that Su Yingxue's maid was still present, he added, "If Su Yingxue has a change of heart and wishes to beg for mercy, I as a prince won't be as petty as her." Jilan was puzzled. Why would Miss beg for mercy? Especially for a sweetheart who didn't match her in any way. Was this person suffering from hysteria? Oh, inside the room, Su Yingxue was pressed onto the soft couch by Chu Yihan. His lips advanced aggressively toward her, leaving her defenseless. The room's temperature began to rise steadily. Chu Yihan's hand passed through his clothing to a particular area on her body, causing Su Yingxue to moan softly. "Don't." Chu Yihan immediately halted his actions. He released her, but displayed a frustration that Su Yingxue couldn't comprehend. He bit her lips. "Ouch. That hurts." Su Yingxue pouted. "Is your highness born in the year of the dog?" He seemed to bite her at the slightest provocation. Didn't he know how to show mercy with his mouth? "It's because you're heartless. One can't see you, But you're seeing my nephew so often. The man's voice contained a hint of anger. His body was exerting tremendous pressure on Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue complained, I'm innocent. The seventh prince came to bother me for no reason. I don't even know why he's here, so how can one be seeing him often? Why did he provoke you for no reason? Chu Yihan's eyes were as profound as an abyss, exuding an overwhelming pressure. Su Yingxue was bewildered. How would I know? Probably because of his identity. The people from Marquis Manor couldn't stop him. Chapter 340. Let him have no chance to compete with you, just like the ninth prince on her. The people of the Marquis Manor had to take a detour when they saw him. How could they dare to stop him? Chu Yihan didn't seem to be satisfied with this answer. Just as he was about to bite Su Yingxue again, Su Yingxue quickly covered her mouth and said in a muffled voice, Your Highness, it hurt. She had to dodge. Chu Yihan's eyes were filled with temptation. Su Yingxue slowly got up and took the initiative to kiss him on the lips. She instantly felt that the coldness on Chu Yihan's body wasn't as strong anymore. However, he still pressed her down. This position was a little too strange. Su Yingxue sighed helplessly. Then she cupped his face, and her lips lingered on his lips for a while. When Chu Yihan pulled her up, he held her in his arms and pinched her soft cheeks, as if unwilling to leave her for even a moment. Su Yingxue knew that he liked to hug her, so she obediently nestled in his arms. A rare peaceful expression appeared on her face. She guessed Chu Jinyan's intention. He probably wanted me to beg him. Before the Empress attacked me last time, he also came to look for me. Is he worthy? Chu Yihan's eyes were filled with mockery. Su Yingxue didn't even need to beg him. So how could Chu Jinyan make her beg? He's not worthy. But I'm thinking, what does the Empress want to do this time? Su Yingxue rubbed her forehead against Chu Yihan's chin. She was considered tall among women, but in front of Chu Yihan, she was still a soft and small one. Chu Yihan's eyes darkened. If she wants to deal with you again, it's not impossible for the great Qing dynasty to change the Empress. In the imperial palace, there was no lack of people whose looks, talents, and family backgrounds were above the Empress. The Empress was not the only one who had a prince. For example, noble consort Xiao. Even consort Sheng was doted on more than the Empress. Su Yingxue shook her head. She wrapped her arm around Chu Yihan's neck and rubbed it gently. Don't get into a fight with her. Otherwise, you might give the Emperor a chance to fight you. Her long eyelashes fluttered like a dancing butterfly, beautiful and moving. Chu Yihan's voice carried a hint of joy. Are you worried about me? Su Yingxue nodded without hiding anything. Yes, between you and the Emperor, I didn't want him to have the chance to hurt you. Chu Yihan had fought alone for a long time. Every step he had taken in the past had been very difficult. His current position was obtained through many years of bloody battles. She would never allow Chu Yihan to be harmed because of her. Chu Yihan's heart was filled with warmth, but his words carried the majesty of an emperor. Don't worry, no one can hurt me, and no one can hurt you. Even if that person is the emperor, if he dares to touch you, I will still replace him. Su Yingxue's moist eyes widened slightly. The emperor? Chu Yihan looked at the surprise in her eyes. He gently caressed her face, not wanting to scare her. He leaned over and kissed her comfortingly. Su Yingxue could feel the peace of mind he gave her. However, she didn't want to hide the fact that she was competing with Saint Ruan from him. She did not expect Chu Yihan's reaction. Do you want to compete with Saint Ruan? He looked at her with his dark jade-like eyes. And no one knew what was brewing in his eyes. Su Yingxue nodded. One had to. Furthermore, I had to win against him. He practiced medicine for many years before. Later, something happened, so he had been studying poisons. It had been more than 40 years since then. Chu Yihan's expression was solemn. Su Yingxue broke free from his hand. Don't you have confidence in me? Chapter 341. Poison production successful. Chu Yihan spoke in a composed tone. I trust you, but one won't allow anyone to harm you. If you're determined to compete with him, I'll ensure he won't get the chance. Don't tell me you intend to, Su Yingxue sensed Chu Yihan's chilling intent. To kill him. Chu Yihan remained calm as he said this. Su Yingxue immediately shook her head. No. Even if I want him dead, one want him to accept it willingly. If it were someone else, Chu Yihan would not have given her the chance to argue. To ensure her safety, he was ready to send someone to end Saint Ruan's life. But Su Yingxue wouldn't allow it. So he refrained from giving that order. Seeing him silent for a while, Su Yingxue tried persuading him with kind words, almost exhausting her words. Just when she thought she couldn't sway Chu Yihan, Chu Yihan's large palm landed on her head, gently rubbing her hair. I will protect you. There was a deep affection in his handsome gaze. Su Yingxue couldn't help but smile. Her imperial uncle was truly adorable. Su Yingxue spent days concentrating on concocting poison. Little Ginseng looked at the Medicine King Valley, now dark and filled with various colorful herbs. Its mouth twitched. You're not planning to ruin this place, are you? Impossible. She couldn't bear to destroy the Medicine King Valley, given its importance. But after all these days of experimenting, did you succeed? Little Ginseng doubted her poison-making abilities, especially considering her opponent was an expert in poisons. Su Yingxue stared fixedly at the withered grass in the medicinal field. When she saw it slowly regaining life, her eyes brightened. It's done. Before she could rejoice, Ziwei's voice cut in. He's here. Su Yingxue immediately opened her eyes. Ziwei stood guard before her, clutching his blade, looking alert. Opposite him, the disrespectful elder still wore a red robe adorned with suggestive paintings. He seemed even younger and more radiant than before. Su Yingxue couldn't help but frown. Old man, have you concocted a youth-preserving poison? She wanted to test if he had developed the intoxicating fragrance. I'm just youthful. That assassin by your side looks older than me. Why not give him some elixir to maintain himself? Saint Ruan sneered. His eyes displayed contempt, mocking both Ziwei and Su Yingxue. Ziwei was never concerned about others' opinions of him. However, Saint Ruan's disdain for Su Yingxue was evident. His blade swiftly forced Saint Ruan into the courtyard. Damn. Are you fearless, attacking without a word? Aren't you afraid of death? Saint Ruan hadn't encountered such single-mindedness in ages. Being chased by Chu Yihan's shadow guards was one thing, but now this assassin dared to show no mercy. After all, he had been part of the Silver Moon Pavilion for many years. Didn't he know his strength? Wasn't he afraid? Ziwei used increasingly fierce moves, conveying a message to Saint Ruan. Not only was he unafraid, but he also willingly risked his life for Su Yingxue. Just as Saint Ruan was about to strike Ziwei, Su Yingxue hastily commanded, Ziwei dodge. Ziwei immediately ceased his attack and evaded. Where he had stood, there was a pot of flowers. When Saint Ruan's poison powder touched it, the flowers instantly withered into a dark green liquid pool. Saint Ruan sneered. Su Yingxue, if you dare, don't let him dodge. Let him come and kill me. Let's see who dies first. Chapter 342. The battle of poison in the palace begins in terms of killing. He had never feared anyone. Assassins could kill, and so could he. Your opponent is me, Su Yingxue proclaimed boldly. Since you're here today, let our competition begin. Saint Ruan was quite willing to engage her in competition. Originally, we could have competed today, but there's a decree from the palace. It has fixed our competition between us for tomorrow in the palace. Su Yingxue, are you afraid? Afraid? Su Yingxue's lips formed a beautiful arc. That word I don't know how to write. But why was the competition shifted to the palace? Saint Ruan flicked his hair. Don't think I'm trying to steal the limelight. The emperor invited me to the palace. Our upcoming competition has spread like wildfire. The emperor forbids me from mistreating you and claims he wants to ensure fairness. He snorted, clearly discontented by Su Yingxue's perceived attempt to gain advantages through influence. Then let's meet at the palace, Su Yingxue retorted. She knew it wasn't about justice being served at the palace. Instead, someone wanted to witness her public failure and death at the hands of Saint Ruan. Originally a small-scale competition, the Empress arranged it like a state banquet. Officials, military commanders, and the daughters of officials attended. In the vast hall of profound literature, everyone awaited in anticipation. Yingxue greeted the Emperor and Empress, sensing countless eyes on her. Some were smug, others worried. She noticed Lin Sisi, heavily veiled today, clutching her clothes tightly, deeply concerned for her. Yingxue offered her a reassuring glance, calming Lin Sisi slightly. In a daze, Lin Sisi accidentally stepped on someone's foot nearby. The person startled, crying out, "Ah!" Lin Sisi quickly apologized. "I'm sorry, it was an accident." Seeing Lin Sisi in green attire, Xiao eyes flickered with emotion. "So, it's Miss Lin from Great General Lin's residence." She was the daughter of noble consort Xiao's maternal sister-in-law and daughter of the Minister of War. She had been considered as a potential match for noble consort Xiao's son. However, her mother informed her about Chu Jinling's engagement. Lin Sisi was bestowed as his imperial consort. She was curious about Lin Sisi's capabilities. Seeing her flustered, Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of ill intent. "Miss Lin, what happened to your face?" Her voice drew attention. All eyes turned to Lin Sisi. Lin Sisi clenched her fists in her sleeves. Her eyes widened as fear welled up in her heart. "Jinling," she whispered, subconsciously recalling Chu Jinling. She was frightened. Upon hearing her call, Xiao's demeanor turned cold. She put on a friendly expression and said, "Miss Lin, if you feel any discomfort on your face, don't hide it. You must seek medical help soon. Let me check for you." "No." Lin Sisi was full of fear and pushed Xiao away inadvertently. Lin Sisi's martial arts were not weak. Xiao, a young miss from a rich family, was easily pushed down by her. However, Xiao somehow fell to the seat. Her forehead hit the corner of the table and instantly turned red. "Rushua, what happened to you?" When Madame Xiao saw this, she nervously helped her up. Xiao leaned into her arms and sobbed. "Mother, I was concerned about Miss Lin's face. Miss Lin accidentally pushed me." Chapter 343. The pitiful drama of the Xiao madam and daughter. Any mother who doted on her daughter would scowl at Lin Sisi. Especially Madame Xiao, was noble consort Xiao's sister. She was already angry that Lin Sisi had stolen Xiao's marriage, and now she had hurt Xiao. Madame Xiao helped Xiao up and asked in a strange tone, "What's wrong? Just because General Lin's daughter is so delicate, does that mean she can trample on other families' daughters?" Lin Sisi's eyes were filled with guilt. She hurriedly waved her hand and explained, "One didn't do it on purpose. Just now she reached out to touch her face, but she was too guarded and accidentally pushed her. But she did not push her onto the table." Lin Sisi was even sadder when she saw Xiao's injured forehead. She apologized sincerely to Xiao. "I'm sorry. It was my fault." After apologizing, she wanted to leave this crowded place. Especially when there were many women, and none of them liked her. "Stop. Was an apology enough? Miss Lin, one don't know what's wrong with your face, but my daughter Rushua is a kind-hearted child. I can't watch her be bullied by you. Look at the injuries on her face. How will she meet people in the future and discuss marriage?" Madame Xiao was meticulous, and her words were reasonable. Lin Sisi's mother died when she was young. In the past, she would solve problems with a whip. After giving the whip to Yingxue, her temper softened a lot. She was in the wrong again, so she was a little discouraged. "I'll apologize to her. I didn't do it on purpose. How can I make it up to her?" She looked at Xiao with pity in her eyes. She had suffered from being ugly since she was young. She did not want Xiao to be like her. Compensation. Madame Xiao's eyes turned. Xiao was secretly delighted. She thought to herself that Lin Sisi was just an idiot. She took the opportunity to cry pitifully in front of everyone. "Mother, my face is injured like this. In the future, my marriage. I'm afraid it'll be difficult." Madame Xiao also sighed sadly. "My poor daughter. How did you encounter such a thing?" Lin Sisi's sympathy was messed up by them. She bit her lip and blamed herself. I don't know how to make it up to you. If she was a man, she could marry Xiao Ruxia and be responsible for her. But she was a girl. How could she compensate? She was the only daughter, and she didn't have any brothers at home. She couldn't possibly let Xiao Ruxia marry her father, could she? Miss Lin accidentally hurt my daughter in front of everyone today. Do you want to make it up to her? Madame Xiao's eyes revealed a scheming look. Lin Sisi's eyes were filled with sincerity. She nodded. I'm sincere. That's good. I heard that Miss Lin has already been bestowed as the imperial consort. Miss Lin, why not use your marriage to make amends for my daughter? Madame Xiao held Xiao Ruxia's hand. Xiao Ruxia was beside her, sobbing softly. My marriage? No. Lin Sisi refused without thinking. The imperial edict to bestow marriage was something Chu Jinling had begged for by cutting his face. She could not give it to anyone else. A hint of hatred flashed across Xiao Ruxia's eyes, and she immediately started crying. Mother, my face is ruined. What should I do in the future? Sob, sob, sob. Madame Xiao gently patted her back and snorted at Lin Sisi. The daughter of a great general is just a person who goes back on her words. Everyone must protect your daughter well. If one day Miss Lin disfigures her, she will have no future. Chapter 344, Little Bitch Expert. Oh my God, why is Lin Sisi so unreasonable? Daughter, leave quickly. Daughter, you must stay away from her in the future. Otherwise, what if she ruins your face? I think she's just too shameless. She's jealous of someone else's beauty and wants to ruin it together. In a gathering of many women, even a trivial incident could quickly escalate. Every comment seemed to add a new shade to the story, turning it into widespread gossip. The impact of this chatter was often more damaging than the harshest prison sentence. Lin Sisi had heard these words since she was young. She had finally gotten rid of the nightmares a few months ago, but now, these nightmares had returned to her, like a 1,000-pound boulder, instantly crushing her to the point of collapse. She covered her face and cried. I am not like what you're saying. One was careless. If she didn't touch my face, I wouldn't have pushed her. Madame Xiao sneered. In that case, it's still my daughter's fault? Lin Sisi bit her lip. She didn't blame Xiao Ruxia, but of course it's your daughter's fault. The man's slightly angry voice broke the group of women's insults towards Lin Sisi. Chu Jinling quickly walked to Lin Sisi's side and pulled her into his arms. His pure eyes clearly showed his disgust for the Xiao family's mother and daughter. If she didn't touch Sisi's face, would Sisi even bother with her? She deserves to be disfigured. Xiao Ruxia was stunned on the spot, and her beautiful face instantly turned red. She was so embarrassed that she wanted to explain. Jinling, I'm just concerned about Miss Lin. Sisi doesn't even know you, yet you care about her? You must have bad intentions. Chu Jinling's sharp eyes swept across her. Chu Jinling's eyes cut through her, sharp despite his youth. Lin Sisi tried to explain. Jinling, she genuinely cares about me. It wasn't intentional. What care about you? She did it on purpose. You're wearing a veil, so it's inconvenient for you to show your face. Is she blind? She knew that it was inconvenient for you to show your face, but she still forced herself to care about you. Was this a concern? She deliberately wanted to see you make a fool of yourself. Chu Jinling pinched Lin Sisi's cheek, his eyes filled with indignation. Lin Sisi was stunned. She had only sympathized with Xiao Ruxia for her head injury, and was concerned about her appearance. She had forgotten not everyone was like her. Frustrated, she pointed at Xiao Ruxia and her mother. I showed you kindness, and this is how you repay me. Xiao Ruxia cried harder. Miss Lin, how could you bully me just because my cousin is protecting you? We've been childhood friends for years, and he has never said a harsh word to me, but now, when she cried like that, everyone felt that Chu Jinling was a bit harsh. Women tend to speculate more, thinking that Chu Jinling was manipulated by Lin Sisi. Having seen someone enjoying a new relationship while ignoring the emotional pain of an ex could have angered many women. Madame Xiao hugged Xiao Ruxia. Alas, Our family is strict and unable to resort to such tactics. The ninth prince doesn't even listen to the noble consort anymore. Daughter, 111 find you a good match. Witnessing the Xiao family's plight, the women turned their collective anger toward Lin Sisi, hurling insults at her. Lin Sisi was livid and wanted to lash out. Who said we were childhood friends? Chu Jinling glared at the mother and daughter of the Xiao family. He didn't immediately support Lin Sisi, because he was trying to recall which relative of the Xiao family she was. Chapter 345. Noble consort Xiao doesn't like her after all. His mother's family was wealthy and had hundreds of people. It was really difficult for him to remember. However, he was certain. Before you called me cousin, could you first ask if I was familiar with you? Since I wasn't familiar with you, what was wrong with saying something harsh? Moreover, did you criticize General Lin's family principles for being lax? You even accused Sisi of using objectionable methods. Madame Xiao and her daughter's expression stiffened. They were well versed in this rhetoric and tactic within women's circles, never having lost, but no man had ever interfered, speaking so clearly and directly. Madame Xiao's face turned livid. Wuxia, and I didn't say that. Ninth prince, don't malign us. Didn't one not hear you just now? And what right do you have to let Sisi use her marriage to compensate for your daughter? She is my future imperial consort, and you wanted to exchange her for your daughter? On what grounds? Chu Jinling was like a proud fighting cock, showing no mercy as he peeled away inch by inch of the Xiao mother and daughter's pride. Xiao Ruxia's eyes instantly filled with jealousy. Lin Sisi, that ugly freak. It was barbaric and rude. Why did she receive such desperate protection from Chu Jinling? She felt indignant and bit her lip as she said pitifully, "Cousin, why are you so merciless? I'm just infatuated with you. One only care about Miss Lin because she is infatuated with you. The injury on my face is not worthy of Miss Lin's concern." She vaguely expressed her feelings for Chu Jinling, shyly and timidly. In front of Lin Sisi, she appeared very weak and won everyone's sympathy. They immediately turned their focus on Lin Sisi again, but before they could speak, Chu Jinling took the lead. It's good that you know your place. Sisi is the daughter of a great general, and the future imperial consort of me. Your injuries are not worthy of her concern. Also, you were injured on your forehead. Don't confuse your forehead with your face. Such a wound doesn't even require the summoning of the court physician. Ordinary doctors could treat it. Don't pity yourself too much. Such an injury wouldn't make you unmarriageable. If indeed you can't get married, you should reflect on yourself. Leaning against Chu Jinling, Lin Sisi suddenly felt less frightened and embarrassed. She smiled, her eyes curving like the crescent moon. Chu Jinling was delighted to see this. The mother and daughter from the Xiao family seemed as if they had been scalded in boiling oil. Chu Jinling had completely stripped away their dignity. At this moment, they gritted their teeth in anger and unwillingness. Jinling, don't be disrespectful. Noble consort Xiao arrived. As soon as she appeared, she was surrounded by numerous palace attendants, and 2 palace maids holding the train of her long skirt. To the astonishment of the women present, noble consort Xiao's trailing long skirt was inlaid with a circle of pearls threaded with gold, totaling more than 100. With just one palace gown, she exuded such magnificence and nobility, compelling submission. She extended her carefully maintained fingers and poked Chu Jinling's face. How can you speak to your aunt and cousin like this? Chu Jinling wasn't as brazen as before. In front of noble consort Xiao, he puffed up his face, acting like a cute child. They were the ones who bullied Sisi first. Oh, you're already protecting her like this before the marriage. After you're married, even one as the mother will have to consider her opinions, right? Noble consort Xiao chuckled softly. Lin Sisi's heart sank. For some reason, she felt noble consort Xiao's hostility. She didn't like her. Considering noble consort Xiao would be her mother-in-law in the future, she subconsciously lowered her head. Chu Jinling patted her to straighten her back, and even held her hand, joining it with noble consort Xiao's hand. Chapter 346. Chu Jinling he tried to please and said with a smile. Mother loves me the most, Sisi is the one I love the most, both of you are my treasures. Am happiest with you. Mother, will surely be even happier in the future. You. Noble consort Xiao withdrew her hand and tapped Chu Jinling's nose. A flower-like smile overflowing from her lips. With Chu Jinling being so endearing, she didn't find Lin Sisi as displeasing anymore. Lin Sisi saw noble consort Xiao smiling at her. She sighed deeply. Chu Jinling whispered in her ear. Don't worry, my mother is very kind. Lin Sisi's eyes sparkled with sweetness. Xiao Ruxia's jealous eyes turned red. She gritted her teeth and signaled to the maid beside her, then nudged Lin Sisi. Sisi, be careful. Chu Jinling embraced Lin Sisi's waist, pulling her up, and the maid removed Lin Sisi's veil from her face. Lin Sisi's entire face was exposed. The maid quickly knelt, bowing her head. I'm sorry, Miss Lin, it was not intentional. One. Ah. She screamed, completely terrified. Lin Sisi's face, oh my, why is her face so ugly? Ah. I'm so scared. Miss Lin, so you wore a veil because your face was injured. Xiao Ruxia appeared urgently concerned, but harbored thick sarcasm in her heart. My face. My face. Lin Sisi quickly crouched down, holding her head, surrounded by the mockery and screams of everyone. She trembled in fear. I don't want this. I don't want to be scolded. One don't want. She broke down in tears. Chu Jinling helped her pick up the veil and put it back on, holding her tightly. Sisi, don't be afraid, don't be scared, I'm here. My face has been seen. Lin Sisi's tears flowed like a stream. Her eyes filled with despair and heartbreak after being trampled upon. Chu Jinling's heart clenched painfully. Xiao Ruxia and Madame Xiao exchanged a glance, both looking triumphant. Xiao Ruxia muttered under her breath. Ugly freak. Even with Chu Jinling protecting her, it couldn't change the fact of her extreme ugliness. Sisi, are you okay? Su Yingxue pushed through the crowd, running to her side. Lin Sisi buried her head in Chu Jinling's embrace, crying uncontrollably. One don't want to be here. I want to go home. I want to go home. Okay, I'll take you home. A reddish tinge appeared in Chu Jinling's eyes, a hint of ferocity. He glared at the maid who had bumped into Lin Sisi earlier, roaring, Guards, drag her down and execute her by caning. Cousin, she's my maid, it was just an accident. Xiao Ruxia's lips quivered. She couldn't believe Chu Jinling, usually playful and charming, could be so ruthless. Do you want to be caned too? Guards, take them all away. Chu Jinling thundered. Ninth Prince, have mercy. Noble consort, please have mercy. Fearing Xiao Ruxia might also be taken away, Madame Xiao hurriedly knelt, kowtowing to noble consort Xiao. Noble consort Xiao sat beside Chu Mingyuan, chuckling softly. Can't you all hear what my linger said? The palace guards dragged Xiao Ruxia's maid away, and her screams echoed outside the hall. Chu Jinling glanced at noble consort Xiao, who shook her head at him. He glared coldly at Madame Xiao and Xiao Ruxia. I'm warning you. Whoever dares to bully Sisi again, one don't care who you are. 111 Personally chop off your heads. You're tuning in to the Limei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.